and it's a big lift for teachers who,
Yeah, for a teacher,
the
that would
number
be a
one
big
thing
lift,
here
yeah.
is I'm not a curriculum developer. Like I don't
Right.
get paid to publish a textbook, but here I am having to basically create my own resources. And so I would hear that over and over again and about how we don't have time and these expectations are unrealistic and
Mm.
teachers are going home at 8 p.m. and we're not having time to spend with our families. And
Oh,
so
yeah.
one of the first things I did when I stepped in as interim superintendent is scheduled a meeting to sit down with our union leadership. And I said, let's just talk because that's unrealistic.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Brighter Together. My name is Janet Courtney, and my special guest today is Eric Griffin. Eric is the superintendent at Delhi Unified School Districts, and that's in Delhi, California. Eric, thank you so much for being willing to be on the show. I appreciate it.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me.
So, Eric, tell us a little bit about your journey to becoming a superintendent, and then give us a little snippet of what's happening at Delhi.
Sure, absolutely. Well, about myself, I like to say that I was born into education because both of my parents were teachers, and three of my four grandparents were actually teachers as well. So I kind of grew up in schools, and I from a young age always knew that that's what I wanted to do as well. So as soon as I graduated from college, I started teaching actually at the same school that my dad worked. So he taught sixth grade, and I taught kindergarten. We were opposite ends of the campus. Uh-huh, and, I spent a few years there. I started the TK program there as well. Here in California, we have transitional kindergarten, which is for our four-year-olds transitioning into kindergarten. And then I moved to another school in another district, and I taught 2nd grade, 7th and 8th grade, and then I transitioned into leadership, and I became a site principal at an all kindergarten school, which
Wow. So the littles, you've had a lot of the littles, huh?
yeah, and it's interesting because my mom was a kindergarten teacher for 30 of the 35 years in education. And I always said, I'll never teach kindergarten. And then my dad taught sixth, seventh, and eighth grade. And I said, I'll never teach junior high. And I ended up teaching both and then being the
Wow.
principal of an all kindergarten school. So,
Go figure. Yeah, never say never. I've learned that the
yeah,
hard way too.
amen.
Yeah.
And I found that the little ones are my passion. They're just
Yeah.
so fun.
Yeah, they
So
are.
yeah, I was the principal of an all kindergarten school. We eventually transitioned to be K2, and then I was pulled up to the director level during COVID times, and
Mm.
from there I just worked my way up to superintendent. So that's where I'm at today.
Wow. So how long have you been superintendent at Delhi then?
This will be my second full year. I took over as interim in March, not last year, but the year before. So.
Gotcha. Okay. Wow. That's awesome. That's awesome. So tell me what's going on in Delhi since you've become the superintendent there.
We've got so many wonderful things happening in Delhi. And many of them were, to be fair, happening before I got here. But since I took over, I'm just so proud of the work that we've accomplished. We are a dual language district, so all of our school sites have a standard English track and then also a dual language immersion track where students receive 50% of their instruction in English and 50% in Spanish.
Wow. Well, I did
Yeah.
not know that. Very cool.
It's pretty cool, and that leads to we have a really high percentage of our students who receive the state seal of biliteracy before they graduate high school, which is awesome. It just
Yeah.
prepares them to go out into the global economy, and especially in the state of California, we have such a high population of Spanish-speaking people.
Mm-hmm.
It really
Texas too.
sets them up for
Yeah.
success. Yeah. And so that's a really cool thing that we have going. We are really invested here in our um, dual enrollment program, where students take courses through the local community college and earn college credit while they go to our high school. So we've actually had a few students that have graduated high school with their associate's transfer degree as well. So that's pretty cool. We're really strongly investing in our CTE pathways to career technical education. So we've got a really strong medical pathway. A lot of our students are are training to be certified nursing assistants. Many of them graduate with a CNA certificate so that they can go right into the workforce and then continue their education from there. We have a bunch of students that have gotten into like the UC Davis medical program and stuff from our medical pathway. We're also expanding our agricultural pathways, and we have a really great ag team that is just really focused. There's been kind of a shift in agriculture recently, from with all the AI and technology that has come into play, a shift from doing the actual farming yourself or raising the animals yourself to knowing how to program and work with the technology now that is helping farmers be more productive. So really interesting to see kind of how
Isn't that
that plays
amazing?
in the preparation of our students to go out into the workforce. And so, yeah, so we've just got some really great things
Wow.
that our focus here this year is opening doors, and we're trying to apply that in all areas, whether it's opening doors just to education and being inclusive in our practices and including students in the general ed classroom that maybe have historically not, or opening doors to futures with these different pathways and career opportunities. So it's just a strong focus this year as we go forward.
Wow. Yeah. And you have some great leadership approach. I'd love to like dive into that a little bit with you. And, about empowering your people before you expect things. Let's talk a little bit about that because I think it's so critical to understand where your people are and you're so focused on how you do things. I just would love for others to hear how that's working out for you guys.
Yeah, so I over my career in education, and even back home listening to my parents talk when I was a kid over the dinner table about their things, I've kind of just gathered these little leadership philosophies. I call them my words to lead by, and I like to, share them with my administrative team and the district leadership team. And one of them is empowerment before expectation. And really, it's just about, if we're going to set an expectation that, something needs to be done a certain way or our employees need to perform a certain task or whatever it might be, just like we would expect our students, we need to make sure that our employees have what they need to be successful. So whether that's the training that they need to be able to accomplish the task correctly, or the materials and resources that they need, or even just the time to prepare for that kind of stuff. One of the things I like to use as an example is because I have the unique perspective of I worked here in Delhi for a partial year before I had stepped in as interim superintendent, and so I attended the board meetings and I got to hear a lot of the things that were being brought up at the board meetings by the teachers union, for example, and they would talk a lot about how our English language development program that we use is it's a whole instructional model called SEAL, and it's developed by the Sobrato Foundation based on research similar to like Project GLAD and things like that as well. But the idea is that you're really immersing students in multiple opportunities to practice authentic language. So uh, you're embedding content in language development strategies, and that is a lot of work on the teachers, right? Because they're really having to take their standards and then look at their curriculum and look at other resources and create resources to use with their students that use the information from the curriculum to accomplish the requirements of the standards, but in a way that focuses on language development. So that's
Sound like a speech therapist.
right, and it's a big lift for teachers who,
Yeah, for a teacher,
the
that
number
would be a
one thing
big
they
lift.
hear
Yeah.
is, "I'm not a curriculum developer." Like, I
Right.
don't get paid to publish a textbook, but here I am having to basically create my own resources. And so I would hear that over and over again and about how we don't have time and these expectations are unrealistic and
Mm.
teachers are going home at 8 p.m. and we're not having time to spend with our families. And
Oh,
So
yeah.
one of the first things I did when I stepped in as interim superintendent is scheduled a meeting to sit down with our union leadership. And I said, let's just talk because that's unrealistic. We can't expect
Mm-hmm.
our teachers to stay until 8 p.m. every night. We can't. They're going to burn
Right.
themselves out. It's like, the saying goes, you have to put your oxygen mask on first to be able to take care of others and support others. So let's talk about how we can realistically approach this because if you talk to people, the strategies we're using are good. People love the strategies. They're what's best for kids, which is, my number one guiding philosophy. My number one word to lead by is you have to remain purpose driven, right? You have to continually focus on what's best for kids. So we all agree that the strategies are what's best for kids, but the implementation is causing an issue. So that's where that empowerment before expectation is, right? We're going to do what's best for kids, but we're going to set our teachers up to be successful. So whether that means we're going to focus on a smaller number of strategies that we can be successful with, or whether it means we're going to give our teachers the autonomy to take in the information that they're learning from our professional development partners and then say, yeah, that's not going to work for me in my classroom. I'm going to do this strategy instead so that they're not spinning their wheels on something that they're getting frustrated with because they know it's not going to have the effect that we're trying to have with our students. So it's just about, really being mindful of the hard work that our people are doing and the expertise that they have. And because, they're the ones that are in the field every day, they're the ones that are in the trenches, so to speak, and we need to understand their perspective and give them what they need to be successful.
You sound like me. Because Lighthouse is the same way. It's like we're a therapy company run by therapists for therapists. Give the therapists what they need to do their job to be successful for the betterment of students. Put the students, always think about the students first. Keep the students in mind with every single thing that you do, but then empower your people to be successful. And remember who it is that's teaching them and who's doing the work every single day. It's, yeah, I love that. I love that. And so, what have you seen like since you've done that? This is your second, you're going into your third year, is that right? Or is that right? So,
So
you're two
it's my
years
second
in and,
full year. I had a few months of the
right.
year
So,
before
you are
that.
going into your third full year, right? So you have enough time that you've got some data. Have you seen, has it been fruitful? Have you seen improvements?
What I've seen, yes, I mean, we've seen an
Yeah, of
improvements in
course, right.
in the student outcomes, of course, but I think perhaps even more important than that is, maybe not more important than that, but
No, I think
equally
it
as
is
important.
because you already have a foundation of take care of the kids. But if
Right.
you don't take care of your teachers, right? And that's so I think it is foundational. I think you have a
Yeah.
very strong foundation, but you identified if we're going to do this, we have to do this. So
Yes,
absolutely.
exactly, and it's the culture piece, right?
Mhm.
It's people feeling respected in their work. It's
Mhm.
another one of my words to lead by is each and every one. And that applies to our students, right? Because one of the things I like to talk about is that um, when you look at a school's mission statement or you hear about the work that a school or a educational organization is doing, they'll often say things like, we believe that all students can achieve at high levels, or we believe that all students will succeed. And what I have found, at least in my experience, is that a lot of students get lost in that word all. And so rather than using that word all, I challenge my people to use the words each and every one because it's much more difficult to get lost there when we're thinking about each and every student. And so that's our philosophy for our students and student success, but it also applies to our staff, right? We need to make sure that each and every one of our staff members are empowered to, meet our expectations, and that includes a lot of our staff that are often overlooked and staff that really play a critical role in our students' education that either through a systemic belief or just years of experience being undervalued, they don't necessarily recognize the importance of their role. And I'm talking about people like people who work in our cafeterias, people who clean our classrooms, people who work in the front office, people who don't necessarily have direct educational interactions with our students, but absolutely lay the groundwork for the work that happens to teach kids to read and write. A kid can't go into a classroom hungry and realistically be expected to focus on math and reading. So it's vitally important that our cafeteria staff and our food service staff are doing their part to make sure that our students have full tummies so that they can go learn. It's vitally important that our classroom spaces are clean and safe so that our students have a comfortable space to go to and our teachers have a comfortable space to go to teach. And it's vitally important that our schools look good and are safe outside so that students can have a safe place to play and have that brain break that's so needed. And then it's a place that they're proud to come every day. So that's one of the things that we really push hard here is we include all of our classified staff in our professional development days, and we try to target our professional development opportunities to be really relevant to every person's role in the district. We differentiate that professional development just like we would for our students in the classroom because we tell them up front, we're all teachers here. No matter what role you have on our campus, you are teaching our students. Maybe you're teaching them the value of hard work. Maybe you're teaching them the value of being kind to one another. Or maybe you're literally teaching them reading, writing, and math. But whatever it is, you play a critical role in our students' education because we're not just raising readers here. We're not just raising mathematicians here. We're raising future leaders, and they need to
Right.
have all these life skills that our people are modeling every day for them.
Awesome. So let's go back to my question because we kind of went off a
All right.
little bit. So you've seen improvements. Yeah, we talked about the foundation, and that's we kind of covered that foundation. But when in the last 2 years, and you've been doing this, what have you? How have you seen the? What has been the fruit of your labors? We all feel it. Students are struggling more than ever with emotional and behavioral challenges. Lighthouse Therapy offers virtual, hybrid, and in person behavioral and mental health support that builds around your school environment. Our licensed professionals are trauma informed, experienced, and trained to work with K 12 students and staff. You don't get a cookie cutter approach, you get a partner who listens, adapts, and builds trust. Because when students feel safe and seen, they thrive. Learn how you can get support at your school at lighthouse-therapy.com/brighter together.
I think that there's obviously the data driven piece. In the
Mm-hmm.
past 2 years, I want to say we've made like 12 percentage points increase in reading and something similar in math. We've seen our attendance rates drop to, I mean, our absence rates drop
Absence rates, yeah.
to pre-pandemic levels. Our one of our elementary schools, I believe last year had about a 3% chronic absenteeism rate, which means less than 3% of our students miss more than 10% of the school year, which across the state of California, we're sitting about 20% right now.
Wow.
So
Yeah. That's good.
it's it's
That's
pretty
impressive.
significant. So,
Yeah.
there's been those pieces that have shown some definite improvement. And then, because of that, because we're seeing that improvement, and then because we're focusing on each and every staff member and their contribution, just the culture has shifted too, where people have adopted that each and every one mindset, and people have
Mm.
really, we went through a really tough year last year because we had there's budget issues across the state, across the country,
Yeah.
and and
I
we've
was
got
I was thinking about that. I don't mean to interrupt you, but I was thinking about that. I wish that our government would, and I don't want to get political, but it's like if they could see, and that's part of why Brighter Together is here, the hard work every single day that people like you are. It was running through my mind before. It's like this is something that I wish our government would do, like see and empower and fund the things that need to be funded because it's
exactly they
broken
need to
and we
adopt
know
that
it's
empowerment
broken.
before expectation.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. 1000%. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
And not and the expectation can't be from one test score. I'm sorry. I have such a hard time with that. It's like you have no idea what your expectations are when you are putting all of your eggs in one basket in one test score on one day when God knows what that child had gone through that day, you know? And we always, as an educator and as a speech therapists, we always say, look, here's the test that we gave when we do an IEP. Here's the report that we did. But that's a moment in time. It is one moment in time, and that is a springboard for everything else. But it may or may not be a good indication of where that child is functioning. And we will even say that in the report. It's like the child, what was the status of the child emotionally? What did we see? How was the child responding when you were giving that test? Because and none of that is taken into consideration. None of it. And it's just, you guys are supposed to like make everything perfect on that one day because that's how we're going to judge you. And it's so backwards and upside down and beyond insane. And yet that's what you're expected to do. It makes me crazy. I don't know how you do it.
Yeah, it drives me crazy too. And it's like, in what profession would you go into? What anything in your adult life do you go through where you have to take a test or something and you get one chance at it?
Right.
It just doesn't happen.
No.
But
No.
that's how we're judged by that one
Yeah.
day, and
By
how
that
does
one day.
feel
And
that
they
day.
are using, and the media uses it. And this is a platform. People have heard me talk about this many times because it just drives me nuts. It just drives me nuts. But yeah. So anyway, and yet you are succeeding. And that's the thing, the testament to education in this country that I think gets lost is that we have these incredibly insane expectations that they're giving. And yet you guys are succeeding. You're seeing improvement in test scores. You're seeing improvements in these things, even though that expectation is unrealistic. It just gives me chills. So,
Well, yeah,
awesome.
and I think it's because, if you remain purpose driven and
Mm-hmm.
you focus on what's best for kids, the rest is going to come.
Yeah.
So there's really
Yeah.
no need to focus on that particular test or whatever, because if you're truly doing what's best for kids, if you're sure, of course, you need to use the standards to guide you and all
Right.
that kind of stuff. But if you're doing that and you're doing the work well, and you've got people in there who are really passionate about that, the rest is
Mm-hmm.
going to come. The test scores are going to
Yeah.
go up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Awesome. That is fantastic. So, Eric, where do people go? Because obviously you have such great philosophies, and I know that someone's going to go, ooh, I wonder if he would give me an answer to, or if someone wanted to reach out to you or find out more about your school, where would they go
Sure. I mean, I'm
to
always
find you?
happy to chat with anybody about anything education. Obviously, I have a lot to say, so they're welcome to reach out to us here at the district. I also have a little website of my own that I offer advice and leadership coaching and stuff. Just share my experience in education. So that's called Equitas Leadership, and it's all about just making sure that we're serving each and every one.
Awesome. Spell that for me so that those of us that don't spell so good know how to get there,
Yeah, EQ
or
U.
they're listening.
Yeah, EQUITAS. Equitas Leadership.
Equitas.
Hmm.
Leadership.com.
Yep. Hmm.
Is.com. Okay. Awesome. Awesome. All right. Well, Eric, I'll tell you, it has been, I knew this was going to be a great conversation, and it absolutely has been. And thank you for your passion. Thank you for how hard you work for the kids in Delhi, and for your teachers, because, we are doing things, and you guys are doing things that is going to empower and impact the world to come. And it matters. So thank you for all your hard work. And thank you
Yeah.
for
Well,
being on Brighter Together.
absolutely. Thank you for having me. Thank you
Awesome.
for all that you do to highlight the hard work that our educators are doing every day, and the support that you provide for districts, because, especially now, the staffing support and the program support that places like Lighthouse provide, it's invaluable for districts, and we really appreciate it.
Yeah, it's been a great partnership. And so I'm going to touch on it real quick.
Yeah.
Lighthouse does provide some services to Delhi, and we love partnering with you guys. And it just is when you can work together with people and see the kids improve. That's the best. That's why I do what I do. Just like you guys, every single student for us is the same, and I think that's why we work so well together, because we have the same philosophies, and we just all want what's best for kids. So,
Definitely.
thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Awesome. Have a great school year. It is August 11th. If you're listening to this, it'll probably be out more like the beginning of September. But the school year 26-27 is ramping up, and we are excited to step into another amazing school year. So blessings to you and to your team and for a great 26-27.
Thank you so much.